Today, the police closed roads around our capital city so we can all celebrate Pakistan Independence Day. This is the same police force that issued dispersal orders so England football fans couldn't gather and watch the Euros final. Scotland Yard confirmed road closures in Ilford and Ealing. Parts of Ealing will actually be closed today, tomorrow and on Saturday, reportedly. But don't worry, the police have also said that they'll be on hand to provide community reassurance. What does that mean? You know, when Ethel, who's in her mid-80s, looks out of her window and calls the police to say, sorry, I've accidentally woken up in Pakistan, they'll just reassure her that no, in fact, thousands of people have taken to the streets to celebrate the independence of a country they obviously don't want to live in that happens to be located more than 12,500 kilometres away. In Birmingham, the Lord Mayor has been busy hoisting the Pakistan flag as well.
Pakistan.
Birmingham will be lighting up their main library in green and white to celebrate as well. It is worth remembering that in March, Westminster Abbey hoisted the Pakistani flag to celebrate Pakistan Day, which is apparently not the same thing as Pakistan Independence Day. A few weeks ago, major roads were closed in London so some members of the Muslim community could celebrate Ashura Day. Police closed Oxford Street, Regent Street, parts of Trafalgar Square and Whitehall for that, and that, of course, was absolutely fine. But if you wanted to go and watch the Euros with your mates and have a few beers and you happened to spill out onto the streets at all, then wallop, you could have been nicked. Now, I honestly don't think that any other country in the world is as scared of its own flag as we are. Do you remember that story about taxi drivers not being able to fly the St. George's flag because it could be too much of a distraction? I mean, that might be a tad distracting. A couple of days ago, a parish hall in Norfolk had a debate about hoisting the Union Jack outside in case it was seen as divisive. But we'll just shut down parts of our capital city for another nation, or have the Lord Mayor hoist the flag of another country in Birmingham. I mean, seriously, look, I think we just need to get off our knees a bit here, don't we? There's nothing wrong with people celebrating, OK? But if you're going to go absolutely massive for Pakistan Independence Day, then maybe we should stop caring about flying the Union Jack wherever the heck we want to. Let's get the thoughts of my panel this evening. I've got GB News presenter and writer Emma Webb, businessman and activist Adam Brooks, and we also have former Labour Minister Bill Rammell. Emma, look, we're going to play a couple of clips as we talk on this. We currently have a situation in London with major road closures, the support of the police as well, and all of this stuff. As people, for not just today, by the way, but apparently for about 3 days. I think we can show a bit of Southall tonight. So this is, I believe, what's taking place pretty much as we speak in the Southall area. If we could take a look. Yeah, fine. Look, OK, so that's currently taking place there now. But obviously, again, I will just emphasise that if England fans had gathered with their mates to watch the Euros and spilled out onto the streets, then they would have fallen foul of a dispersal order.
And I'm not actually sure if you did that for St George's Day that you would get quite the same treatment. I think there would be some people who would be talking about the far right if you were to go out, you know. In fact, it's like the Emily Thornberry thing, isn't it? That even if you fly a St George's flag, you're perceived as being far right in some way. We have a real problem with English patriotism in this country, and like you say, there is an element of two-tier policing in it. But I also just simply don't think it's appropriate to be raising the flag of another country on any official building, except maybe in a very, very few limited circumstances. But also, if you come to a country and you want to make that country your home, that becomes your home, right? Why would you be selling, like you said, why would you celebrate the Independence Day of a country that you've chosen not to live in?
Yeah, I mean, there's another clip that's doing the rounds at the moment that appears to show a bit of a scuffle actually going on between, again, what we understand to be a member of the Afghan community and some people of the British Pakistani community. That's what we're being told has happened there now. So that's just in Britain now. So, Adam, I don't know what your thought on that is.
You're talking about closing major roads for 3 days in some areas for a foreign country's Independence Day. Now, I would have the if it was Polish people, Romanians' Day, or the French National Day, and we were shutting our roads. So before anyone tries to go, oh, he's racist or he's Islamophobic, no. This gives me the whatever country this would be. It's wrong. Closed roads, closed businesses affect a lot of jobs and a lot of people, our economy. Also, groups of people letting off fireworks in the street illegally. They won't be nicked. They won't have facial recognition on them. Cars beeping their horns till 12, maybe 1 at night. Would that be allowed from England fans? No, it wouldn't. I think this is two-tier policing yet again, and I think it's a disgrace.
Well, the police, this was a bit earlier on as well, because they've had to close roads for this. And again, I will say as well that, I mean, this is nothing like the road closures that we saw for Ashura Day, which was, I mean, some of literally Britain's most arterial roads. You had Regent Street, you had Oxford Street,
Hyde Park, wasn't it?
Hyde Park around their own Marble Arch. I mean, you know, they shut that down. But this was a bit earlier on where they decided to shut some of the roads. And... So they got some road closures there. I just wonder, but, you know, if it was like St George's Day and all of this stuff. I mean, we also have to couple it, I think, don't we, with the idea that there's, you know, a town hall in Norfolk, for example, that's talking about having a genuine conversation with local residents about whether it will be divisive to hoist the flag of our own country. But we are absolutely fine to have the flag of every other single nation hoisted at any single opportunity.
Well, hold on, let's not create myths. We've just gone through the Euros, and I've seen on every second house the flag of St George flying, and it was fantastic. So, you know, the English flag is not in any way, shape or form banned. But we don't have two-tier policing. What we have are operational decisions taken by the police who take account of the circumstances. Now, you know, whatever you think of Pakistan Independence Day...
Can I just ask very quickly on that, Bill?
Yeah.
I accept what you're saying, but part of Pakistan Independence Day is going to Southall, which also has a massive Indian community. And I would love to see the risk assessment on that.
Well, do you know, one of the things I was going to say is what I think the police need to do better after the event is publish their risk assessments as to why they reach the judgments that they do. But there was no suggestion there was going to be violence involved in the demonstration. What they will have done is taken account of the scale, the risk, and what else is going on within that area. And, you know, unlike other members on this panel, I've been involved in organising demonstrations a long time ago, and we had a profound view that people on the left were discriminated against by the police. I think we were wrong then, and I think the right are wrong now in saying that the police are being biased.
But you literally have the police saying that they spoke to community leaders, and the only community leader who is democratically legitimate is a member of parliament.
The police have always spoken to community leaders on all sides.
That's my point, because those community leaders, they appoint themselves. They're not necessarily representative of the people that they claim to represent. They can't be removed from being a community leader. And so we saw a video of the police saying that they spoke to a community leader and then they felt reassured that the community could effectively police themselves. You would have to have no eyes and ears to look at the scenes that we have seen and think there is no two-tier policing. It's just a wild suggestion.
The police, since the year dot, have always spoken to and consulted the organisers of demonstrations.
I'm not talking about the organisers.
And the constituents of those demonstrations. It's policing by consent.
Bill, I'm going to ask you one thing. Do you I mean, the extra policing we're going to be seeing in these areas could probably come to £500,000, maybe £1 million, and that comes from the taxpayer. Is that OK?
Well, we live in a democracy where people are allowed to protest, they're allowed to go on marches, and yes, that does come at a cost that we all bear. But I'd far rather live in a country like that than where people aren't allowed to demonstrate and protest.
You're happy with your taxes going to fund road closures for a foreign country's Independence Day?
So you take Ealing and you take Ilford, there are significant numbers of people who are British citizens, are of Pakistani heritage.
Indians also. And so
not in Ilford and not in Ealing. And, you know, they have a right to be able to do that as long as they do it peacefully.
So let's just say that them areas are 40% Pakistani or Asian. What about the 50 or 60% of the other residents that have got to put up with beeping car horns, fireworks and road closures for 3 days?
We live in a multicultural society. People have a right to celebrate. They have a right to demonstrate.
Was it wrong, then, to issue a dispersal order for the Euros final?
Without knowing what the risk assessment was, I don't know. You know, there have been instances of football hooliganism in the past, and I don't know what the police intelligence was. And that's where we have a problem with these debates, lack of context. I was in this studio a week ago when I was being assailed about why have we got the rioters into court straight away, where the thugs who'd attacked the police at Manchester Airport had not yet been charged. It was because they hadn't pleaded guilty, whereas the rioters had. You need the context before you rush to judgment.
I think that the people who wanted to go and celebrate the Euros maybe didn't have a community leader to be consulted by the police in quite the same way. But even irrespective of this, you can't deny, for example, that the police treat protesters who might say certain things on Facebook quite differently to people who were literally calling for jihad in the streets of London, and they said, oh, well, you know, jihad means different things to different people. Even though the context being important, it was being said at a protest where there was it was organised by a known Islamist group that the government had been going back and forth about prescribing for quite some time. I just think that...
Do you know, Emma,
Can I just say quickly on something like this? Look at these things now. I don't necessarily mind this stuff, right? But it just seems like if we're also having to report on numerous different incidences, whether it's a mural outside a fish and chip shop in London that's got the Union Jack on it, being told, oh, that might be a bit offensive.
It's just about fairness, isn't it?
Yeah, if you've got, you know, England fans or whatever, you know, if anyone had gone out, happened to wear an item of branded clothing that happened to have the Union Jack on it on the night that we were supposedly going to have these 100 far-right riots that never happened, they'd have been battered within an inch of their life in Walthamstow. But meanwhile, you've got all of this...
Did that happen, Patrick? No, it didn't.
Because it was a lie.
No one wanted to go out wearing it because in their own country people felt scared to go out and wear an item of clothing with their own country's flag.
That's the claim. I don't think that's borne out by the facts. And if anybody thinks, and if you think, Emma, that the police are biased against white people in favour of black people, you haven't met most police officers in this country.
They've just been done for racism against 3 white officers, haven't they?
Thames Valley Police.
Thames Valley Police. So of course there's discrimination against
police officers.
Because they ignored them for promotion in favour of Sergeant Sidhu, who got the job. But yes,
Patrick, I try and look at this and I think, would I be happy? My nan's not alive anymore. You know, if this is 6, 7 o'clock at night, would I be happy with my late nan walking down that road while that's going on? No, I wouldn't. It's intimidating. Why should the rest of the community have to put up with that?
Also, I have to come back...
So you're going to stop all demonstrations? That's what you're going to do?
I have to come back on the suggestion that you made that this is about white or black. It's not, because the lockdown protests, I think, were policed quite differently to the Black Lives Matter protests, as just to take one example.
Based upon police intelligence of what the risk was. And I said earlier, I think the police need to be much better in communicating why and how they reached their decisions.
Well, then why was it that the people who went with the Palestinian flags on their cars, tooting their horns and talking about raping Jewish daughters, had the charges dropped against them?
Yeah.
I don't know the particulars. You can pluck cases out of the air, but without the detail, without the context...
Bill, there's thousands of cases. Some of us have been putting them up all week on Twitter.
How can you also comment on it if you don't know the cases that we're referring to either?
Well, I just commented specifically about the Manchester Airport case, and the facts bear out what I'm saying.
All right, guys. Well, look, you know what? I saw that tonight, and I just thought, look, fair enough, but it just strikes me as though, you know, we're not doing the same thing for maybe, you know, when the things have the British flag displayed, etc. I don't know. What do you think?